Hi neighbors, Dave Gubler, a broker owner of IML Real Estate and a Deane Homes owner since 2012. And welcome to Deane Homes Real Estate Market Update for April 2023. Anytime we start with the Deane Homes, we need to talk about Orange County in general. And what's one of the big factors in the market right now is obviously is inventory. Inventory is very low, and inventory is very low, and demand is very high. So let's start with a historical look here at Orange County active listings, and you can see going back to before the mortgage meltdown crisis back in 2008. That inventory levels were consistently quite high. I mean, you had 19,000 homes on the market in the prime months of summer. So, and that was relatively steady prior to that. And then throughout time, you can see as we approach today, this is all of Orange County, only 2,985 homes on the market at the end of April. So that's orders of magnitude less, right? That's a significant reduction in inventory. Most of you are aware of that. Let's look at Mission Viejo. Mission Viejo mimics the county overall quite well. For back in June of 2008, 632 homes, active listings, and then we see that drop consistently over time. And here we are today, April. That's 106 homes on the market, and this metric is including detached homes and attached homes. So detached SFR, condos, and townhomes in this number that I'm using here. Well, let's look at what price has done over these similar timeframes. Again, if we start back in the 2008, we see that big crash, the mortgage meltdown, kind of a market that was not performing fantastically for about 5 years. That's really, in my experience, in my career, the most difficult time for homeowners or sellers in terms of what price you could get for your home. But then, of course, in 2023, we see that really a strong and consistent push upward. The blue line is Orange County homes, and we're now looking only at detached single-family homes when I'm talking about this metric, these prices. And then the red line is Mission Viejo. So for detached single-family homes in Orange County, we peaked in May at a figure of average price of $1,764,434. And in Mission Viejo, the peak is right about the same time frame, and that's $1,238 and 626. So $1,238,626 for average sale price for a detached single-family home. Well, everyone knows the interest rates started to go up. Honestly, a lot of fear mongering in the media, etc. Very, very negative sentiment about housing, and the rates legitimately went up, as we all know. And we see this decline. But one thing that I'm trying to get the word out on, and the media is beginning to turn around and be more positive about housing. Rates have stabilized for the most part. We'll talk about that in a second. But the bottom really for Orange County detached single-family home prices was in December, and that bottomed out at $1,507,000 and change. And then in Mission Viejo, we kind of hit our bottom in March of this year, and are trending upwards now. And I'll go into some other metrics on why we know that metric is trending upward, with multiple offer scenarios happening, etc. So let's go on to our next graphic. This is just a little shorter time frame illustrating the same two things, the average sale price in Orange County versus Mission Viejo. But this is just a 3-year look back. All right, now let's talk about how to observe what's happening. What is market climate, and how do you measure that, and how do you forecast that too? So one thing, this is just Mission Viejo, and this is just detached single-family homes. We've omitted the condos and townhomes, and so we want to look at the closed sales on a monthly basis, and this is going back to January 2022, and then coming all the way to April of 2023. So you can see that, closed sales, it peaks usually in April or May or June. You can see we're well off that number because here we are in April with 49 closed home sales in April 2023. That's detached single family homes. And we had 94 last April. So volume was higher. We don't want to confuse what the media often does, though, with is the market hot or is real estate strong? And the metric that they focus too much on is the raw number of sales. In other words, raw number of sales, and real estate's down or real estate's up. Well, what they're talking about a lot is not the price. They're talking about the number of sales. And so, yeah, clearly that's down. And let's see why that's down. Well, our active listings, we're looking at the same time frame here, and this is Mission Viejo again, reached a height about July 2022 last year, 152 homes for sale, and look at just a almost steady decline, one little peak in October of active listings. And so that's a measure that we really want to look at. It's called absorption rate. And for you as a potential seller or a homeowner who's kind of interested in what the value of their home is, you don't have to be selling, but you should care about absorption rate. And that's a measure of the number of homes that sold in a given area divided by the number of homes available in a specified time period. And so, if we look at April of this year, the month that just passed, we had 49 homes that sold and only 73 available. And so that absorption rate is well above what any analyst or any real estate guru will tell you is a seller's market, and it's quite a bit above it. So absorption rate is a great way to look at what's the health of the market in terms of home values. Maybe not in terms of the volume of sales, but in terms of home values. And that's extremely healthy. If we're selling 49 homes with 73 available, and that leads into month supply. And this again is Mission Viejo, and we're going back to January 2022, and you can see the month supply based on the demand and that absorption rate that I'm talking about is, we're near a low again. We're at 1.3 months of available inventory in Mission Viejo. That's really tight. And I want to show you this over time. This is going back to 2008 again, and it's showing the inventory supply in months for Mission Viejo. You can see back in 2008, we reached a height of, 8 months supply. Homes were sitting on the market. They're way too, far more homes for sale than there were buyers. And then we've seen that steadily trickle down. We saw a steep drop in 2012. But here we are, at near 1.3 months supply is almost an all-time low. That all-time low, well, I shouldn't say all-time, I should say since 2008, was reached in December of 2021 with, literally a half month supply of homes. Again, all based on that absorption rate. And I think that's a great tool to look at. Okay, well, let's briefly talk about interest rates. You can see here, this is a 1 year look back. The average 30-year fixed rate is at 6.43% today. The new Freddie Mac report's going to come out tomorrow, and everyone expects that number, that 6.43, to go down because rates have actually dropped a little from there. So the point of this is that rates have stabilized and buyers are accepting this new normal. For a while when rates go up, if we look at a 3-year look back here, wow, we've got this low rates, these 2s and 3s, and how great. When they start to rise steeply, that does deflate buyer enthusiasm, and you get a lot of buyers who withhold from making purchasing decisions or buying for a while. But human psychology is such that there's a fatigue there, and eventually they say to themselves, you know what, this is the new normal. I need to buy a house. I've got to stop renting. Or they make the decision to do their downsizing or their relocation, to elsewhere. And partially because of that psychology of saying, you know what, the rates are what they are, and they're still relatively low in a historical sense. If we look at historical 30-year fixed interest rates, you can see, some way back in the 80s, of course, and we all hear about this when rates were 18%. But in terms of all time, or for as long as we've been tracking, rates are relatively low, and that's not deterring buyers at the moment. We're seeing multiple offer scenarios, and we're seeing quite robust demand already again, which we weren't seeing in November, December, January, and that is now turned around. Well, let's go back to our Deane Homes, and this is kind of why I'm sending this update out. We've got very little activity. There's approximately 730 homes in the Deane Homes. I own a Briolette. We know there's just not much on the market right now. In fact, nothing on the market, literally. We've got 2 sales in all of 2023 so far in the Deane Homes. One on Spadra, that was a marquee, and then one on Nakomi, which was a Jubilee, slightly modified, a little bit of extra square footage. We had a couple homes on the market. They're on hold right now. That's not typical. Usually it shows in escrow if it's gone into escrow, but these may have gone into escrow. The one on Las Marias, that's a heavily modified Chanticleer. It's got a lot of extra square footage. And then we've got one on Cienega that's on hold, rather expired. Okay, I apologize. And that was a Tiffany, and that's the expired listing, so no longer on the market. And a home on Catalonia Circle, a Jubilee also, but on hold at the moment. So there's not much to talk about in terms of average sale price and days on market, etc. for us here in the Deane Homes. So let's see how that develops. When supply again is very low, Deane Homes quite desirable because of the proximity to all 3 schools: De Portola Elementary, La Paz Intermediate, and Mission Viejo High School. A lot of other reasons, but that's been a consistent driver is the proximity to schools. But when you have supply this low and demand that is robust, good things can happen. Well, I hope that helps some of you a little bit, just get an idea of what's going on in Mission Viejo, but also in our little community, the Deane Homes. And I will have another report for you. We'll refine this and I'll get some feedback from you, my neighbors, and find out what you're more interested in hearing about. And I'll see you next month.